Welcome back, everyone. This video is long due. It's been over a month since our last session. So, without wasting any more time, let's create a custom header for our app. If you have seen the first and other videos in this series, we have already discussed the proposed layout for our forum app. So let's review the layout and wireframe. Our app header will have three main parts. The first is the logo. It will be on the top left portion. The central part is for a search box, and the right side is for the sign in and sign up buttons. Here I also want to change these buttons to the user avatar once someone logs in our app. Therefore, start by creating a new file called header.tsx inside the component directory. It'll be the main UI for our custom app header. Soon, we will separate the individual components in different files for ease. Start by importing the link function for Next link package. Then import the essential UI parts from Next UI library. Here, we will need the buttons, input, and navbar. The navbar itself has few more import requirements like navbar item and content. Similarly, we will use the popover feature to show a pop-up button on user avatar. So, just follow my code and see the official Next UI docs for all the available components. This file must export a function that will present the UI for the header. I'll name it header for obvious naming reasons. You could choose any relevant name. Just make sure it's easy to understand. The export will have a navbar that will contain all the contents, including the logo part, search bar, as well as the sign up button. So let's add each of these inside separate navbar item for proper alignment. Here I'm not diving deep into the theory of each of these components. You could look out on your own. So if you find anything confusing, just drop a comment or view the official docs. The use of link is already explained in our previous videos. Check out those if you haven't yet seen this entire series. It will output a hyperlink on compilation, hence we are using it to wrap our logo text. Here, you could also use a custom image for the logo. The image package is there for the use. We have discussed its implementation in previous video. For the link source, we will import the path file that contain the defined routes. Use of path reference is better to avoid any spelling or directory name error. Here, we will use the home path as the link for our app logo. This link is wrapped inside a navbar brand item. This UI block is specially designed to display the logos or brand title with extra highlight. Soon we will see the actual output, so stay tuned. After the navbar brand, add two navbar content items, one with center justified content and another with end justified content. The center one will have a navbar item with input box. This will form our search box. For now, just put an input to fill the void space. In the last part, we will have the sign in and sign up buttons, although it is the spot where we must place a check for logged in users. If users have logged, then show their avatar or some relevant text in this case. I'll show the sign up button. Although I think it's time to put the header in display. Up to now, we are only working with assumption. So save the header.tsx file. Then open the main layout.txt file inside the app directory. Import the header in this file. And finally put it above the children part. Meanwhile, I'll make some small adjustments in the layout UI. Just follow my code and everything will be fine. As you can see, the UI is looking as expected, so it's time to dive into some logics. But wait! Before the logic implementation, let's separate the two UI part, especially the search box and sign up button, in separate components. Therefore, create a new file inside components directory with the name search.tsx. Import the input from Next.UI and export the search bar with some UI adjustments. Give it a title, name placeholder, and wrap the input inside a form element. We have not yet defined any actions for search feature. That's for future videos. For now, just follow my code and then import it inside the header.tsx file. Replace the blank input with this new search bar. Did you notice the use search parameter import? It's there to get the user input from the search bar. We will use this import to receive the search keywords. Then, we can use that keyword or string to derive the actual relevant result for the output. Our search bar is pretty simple. It's just a plain input element wrapped inside a form. Later, we will use this form to submit the search term. For now, just give it an input name, placeholder term like search or something else, and a default value, where we will show the search parameter or a blank string, depending on the available case. Finally, import it inside header file and replace with the current input. That's it, our search box is ready for display. Oh, there's an issue here. In fact, we missed it, as the useSearch parameter is meant only to be used inside a client component. But we haven't defined the search input files as client. So let's fix that by adding the useClient keyword in rear in our app. Make sure you spell the useClient keyword properly. No caps use is must, else the code will break. That's it. Our search bar is ready for display, but without any actual functionality. Don't worry, we will code that together in future video. Now, let's move on to the highlight of today's discussion. Let's implement the login or sign up function with proper check. Again, to make it work properly, we have to use a separate component file, although we could demonstrate the user auth check directly in the header file. So let's try it first, then move on to the auth implementation. For the demonstration purpose, we can import the auth file directly inside the header.tsx file. The header file is a server component, hence, we could use the session record to check the logged user. We have already discussed this implementation in great detail in our previous video. So if you need a reminder, go have a look. Here, I'll simply check for user session. If it's available, then the user is logged in, else they need to sign in or sign up. That's the basic logic behind user authentication. I hope it's enough to understand. If you find anything confusing, just drop a comment. So let's test it out. Will it work? Let's see. First of all, let's sign in if you haven't yet. It will take you to the GitHub authentication page for approval. Simply agree, and you will be redirected back to the home page. Once you are signed in, the text on the top right corner will change to signed in, else it will ask you to sign up. The logic seemed working, but we can't leave it as it is. In fact, we have to move all of these inside a separate component, a client component. The main reason is that we have to use form submit and actions to sign up and so on. It will not work as expected in current server component. Therefore, create a new file called headerauth.tsx and start coding inside it. First of all, add all the necessary imports, including the Next UI components. Then import the use session to read the user data on client component. For details on server and client components, see our previous videos. Here, we have to import Next UI library, especially for a few UI elements, some of which are navbar item, button, avatar, popover trigger, and popover content. We have already seen the use of navbar elements. Now, we will use the avatar to display user image if user is logged in. And we will use the popover element to show sign out button floating over the avatar on hover. All of that we will implement just now. So, stay tuned and keep following my code. Use relevant name for the default export function. I'm using header auth for easy recognition. Start the function with session storage. The implementation is similar with a slight difference. So, look carefully and follow the code as I did. First, put a session status check to avoid latency or lag in response. Instead, display a blank spot if status is loading. Then if session data has user record, it means user is logged in. Then display a popover element with left alignment. It will have a trigger that shows the avatar. This avatar is the user image that we will receive from user record. Then show a popover content. It will have a sign out button with appropriate action. Just like this, the implementation of popover element is very easy. Here we are using it to display the sign out button on hover over the user avatar. We can also use it to display menu items and much more. Next UI has made it very easy to implement such complex UI. Without it, you may have to code both the element along with the dedicated CSS to handle all these. So, if you'd like to learn more about Next UI elements, must read the official docs. It's the best place to start the journey. Once you are done with the user check case, we have to place a default else condition for the check. Here, we can display both sign in and sign up buttons. In our case, both buttons will have same actions associated. That is the sign up feature that will use GitHub Auth. Although, we may design a custom sign and popover form for login, especially with email users. It may be a good feature addition. What do you think? Write down your thoughts and suggestions and comment. I think the style implementation and class names are easy to understand. These are the standard Tailwind CSS classes. We have already discussed the styling with Tailwind CSS in our previous video. You can check it out for thorough understanding. If that's not enough, then ping me your question. Finally, import this file in the header.tsx file. Then replace the content of the last navbar content with the header auth element. One small correction here. I have missed to export the auth content from header auth file. Let's fix that and everything else is just fine. Save everything and reload the app. Well done. Look, the user login check is working perfectly. Also, we can see the user avatar. When you hover over this image, a pop-over button appears with Sign Out feature. Click it, and you have successfully logged out of our forum app. Let's try it a couple more times and make sure everything works as expected. Yeah, it's working fine. So, that's it for today's video. Today we have learned to create a functional header UI for our forum app. We have used Next.UI to align and format everything in our custom navbar. We have added logo text, then created a search bar, and finally implement user authentication with sign in and sign up feature. In our next session, we will design our topic creation form and add some more UI to give our app a working look and feel. So, have a nice day. Keep coding, and thanks for watching TechnoSpace. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, let me know what else you want to see me code.